looking to be.
Hey guys, my name is Jack and I'm here today to bring you a tutorial on HTML. Now, right here we see YouTube, a website. This entire website has been created by something called HTML coding. Now, HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. And it was used to create this website. Now, if you go up here, this is on Google Chrome, you click that, you go down to Tools, and View Source. After this loads, it should show all the HTML coding that was used to create the YouTube main page. Just the main page. And it's over 10,000 lines of coding. Now, I'm not going to show you how to do something like this. That is not my area to tell you guys about that. If you really want to learn more, this is just to start people off on their path. I've only been taking a web programming class for about 5 to 6 months now, so I am not an expert at this. I am not even close, not even a little bit. So, I can never do anything like this. Maybe my friend Nick, because the kid's a freaking genius. But besides that, no. Anyway, right now I just want to talk about some HTML coding. Now, I use a program called Notepad++, and I'm going to get more into that later. This is just for you to start out. Now, to start out an HTML document, or any HTML at all, you need to have the coding. Now, the coding you need to put in these brackets, those kind of brackets. Now, to start off an HTML document, you need to put the first open bracket facing openly towards the right. You type in HTML, and then you close it with the other bracket. Now, this tells the browser that it is an HTML document. Now, some websites use something along these lines where it goes !doc type HTML. For some browsers, it works better. I personally don't like to use them because I use Google Chrome and it mostly works fine without it in Google Chrome. But for other, maybe Internet Explorer and all that, it's very useful to use that kind of stuff. Now, start off in HTML, you need to put a header. So we put a head, and this is where all kinds of info and styling will go, but more on that later. Now, we're going to put in a title. So we put the brackets and type out title. And we're going to put my web page. Now, when the coding happens, you don't want to continue just coding below that. Otherwise, how is it going to know to end the coding? That all isn't the title. You need to end the coding yourself manually. Now, to do that, you put an open bracket and you put a dash. And then you type out the coding again, in this case, title. And then you close it with a bracket. That tells the browser that you are finished with that HTML code and it should stop worrying about it and focus on the next. Now, we're also going to end our head real quick, just so we can go straight into the body. Now, the body of an HTML document, it will contain the main part of our web page. And first thing that we're going to put in the body of our first main web page is going to be a header. Now, to put a header, the code is H and then a number. The numbers span from 1 to 6, 1 being the largest, 6 being the smallest. So we're putting H1, and we're going to type out my first header. And again, we're going to end it with the bracket, the dash, and H1, and close that. We've ended the header. Now, also in the body, you can put in paragraphs, and a paragraph coding will just be a P. And we'll put my first paragraph, and we're going to end that P as well. Now, there's some coding that you do not have to end, and I'll talk more about that also later. Now we need to end our body. And of course, you need to tell that the browser that you are finished with the HTML coding, so you need to put dash bracket dash HTML and it. So right here we have not very much, but it is still going to become a web page. Now to save this as HTML, you're going to go to File, Save As. We're going to name it my web page, and we're going to change it into an hypertext markup language file, as so. We're going to save it. Voila. We're going to minimize all my stuff, and right here, my web page. Going to open it up, and voila. Now, right up here, it says my web page. Now, we did that with the title code. Title code went up here. Now, we have our header, which we accomplished with the text with the code H1. We put my first header. And then we also made our first paragraph, even though it's a sentence, right there. And we accomplished that with the P tag. Now this is just the beginning of HTML. Nothing much to it. Not enough to really start doing a web page by yourself. So we're going to get more into that later. The next thing I'm going to talk about is HTML editors, and then I'm going to have a fun little side note about how you can make a favicon. Now a favicon is something like, for example, the YouTube. See how there's a red square white play button right there? See how ours is just a plain old blank white page? We're going to eventually change that into something else, and we're going to make it look pretty cool. So that's all I got right now. Rate, comment, subscribe, and hopefully this tutorial helped you start out on some HTML. Peace.